Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Danny and Stan's Football Weekend. It's presented by NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com, and we have our Super Bowl matchup, and it is a juicy one, to say the least, after Championship Sunday. I've heard some people say that Championship Sunday in the NFL is the greatest football day of the year. I don't think so. I think it's the week before, but because you get a couple more games. But anyway, maybe single day if you want to go with that, but not weekend. Anyway, we saw two completely different games. One kind of a sloppy game that was close and intense with a lot of questions to be asked and answered, if you can. And then the Chiefs really complete domination in a game that, if not for a slow start by the Chiefs and a break or two for the Bills, would have been a complete run over and snoozer. But still some things to talk about there. And then to get our first look ahead at the Super Bowl matchup, 10th Super Bowl appearance for Tom Brady, just stupefying. And the opportunity for Patrick Mahomes, who may win 2, 3, 4, we don't know, Super Bowls, maybe one. To do the job against the greatest of all time early in his career as he tries to strive for that particular designation. And he certainly did some things yesterday that would indicate that he's on the track to do it, as if we didn't know that already. Lots of things on the plate with Stan Weber, and we are going to get going right ahead with Danny and Stan's Football Weekend. Always fun.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
It's time now to get some great assistance on healthcare with Chad Beisel from NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. And Chad, even your business's name would indicate that you have a real aggressive way and an important way to go after some health insurance for your clients.
What I've found out in the industry is just a lot of people are really confused. They don't know what plans are good, what their plans offer, how they cover. And so I've just taken the approach of being really educated on what options are available to clients and showing them all the options that are available and making sure they understand them so they can pick and choose what options are good for them.
And one thing that's really important, of course, is access to doctors and hospitals.
Absolutely. That's becoming a big issue for a lot of people. Some of the plans out there are going to restrict those clients to where they can and cannot go. So if you live just outside the Kansas City metro, some of the counties outside, you may not be able to go to some of the hospitals up here in the Kansas City area. So making sure that you have a plan that's got doctors and hospitals and places you want to go is really, really important today.
Learn more by visiting NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com and let Chad help you. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. I'm here with David Schmidt from Private Capital. And David, tell us more about your outstanding firm.
Thanks, Danny. Here at Private Capital, we focus on return on asset. In today's world, it is survival of the fittest. We look at things from all angles and try to figure out what works best for you. The changes we will see this next year on assets will be monumental. The key to success is knowledge. Know where you want to go, and we'll be here along the way. To find out more, give us a call at 816-221-7775.
David Schmidt from Private Capital with the best service for you. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services,
We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson and Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back to Danny and Stan's Football Weekend. It's presented by NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. 2021, you get some healthcare challenges. Go see Chad and his friends and cohorts, associates, the learned ones at NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. Kansas City Chiefs roll into the Super Bowl, third straight AFC championship game appearance, now the second straight Super Bowl, and they will do it. You know, the Chiefs certainly are a great team. They catch a break here and there, but, they also have had some bad breaks. Now Eric Fisher's going to be out, but playing the opponent that they're going to play in their home stadium, but in a COVID year, is a break. I mean, not like it was going to be really a home game, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Let's focus on the game that was played yesterday. The Chiefs get off to a rugged start. Mecole Hardman, who for some reason continues to return punts, which I don't understand. He's very shaky back there as far as catching the ball, which is job one. But anyway, his fumble leads to a touchdown. Chiefs are down 9-0. But I said it before we even went on, Stan. The beginning of the game where they got a field goal and then they get the free touchdown is the only thing that kept the game from being a complete yawner because the Chiefs were unbelievably dominant. The Chiefs' defense did play. Here's my template for what I thought of the game. The Chiefs' defense played well in the game. They certainly did. But the Chiefs were going to win the game even if the defense didn't play well. The defense playing well made it a rout. The Chiefs were going to win anyway because Buffalo had no answers for what the Chiefs had to offer on offense.
No doubt about it. Buffalo's strategy does not work well against the Chiefs. If you're going to give a free run to Travis Kelce anytime you want, that means you always have a first down. I mean, if it's 3rd and 10, I'll just throw it to Kelce 9 or 10 or 11 yards downfield. He'll fall forward, and you have a first down. So, where is Buffalo going to stop you? And then when they double Tyreek Hill, they do it by playing off of him and letting him have the ball and then try to catch him. And if it were touch football, they wouldn't be very good at catching him. So, and then Patrick Mahomes, when they play at elite level, this is a new level. This isn't what we've seen the last 7, 8, 9 games from the Chiefs. This is a whole new level. They've been biding their time. They've done a great job of respecting regular season football. Credit Andy Reid and the football team, but they really wanted to strike and play. And I said in the 15th game of the season, I didn't think the Chiefs played well against the Falcons. I said, I think they're done. I said with you, Danny,
right
on the podcast, I think they need to go on to the playoffs now. And Patrick Mahomes got hurt against Cleveland. They may have not been hitting on all cylinders. They'd been off for basically 2 weeks. The fabulous starters had been. But now they're in stride. They've taken to this. They don't mind the playoff pressure. They love the adrenaline, and it was a complete mismatch because Buffalo's all new to this. They're a developing program, a nice story about Bills Mafia, and they're back and relevant again, but they're not in the Chiefs league at all. And I've just not been a big Josh Allen fan ever. He's doing okay. He's developing, but he's not in the same league at all. And in the playoff games this year, he didn't win either one of those games. I mean, he let Lamar Jackson lose the game, I think. They have 230 yards of total offense, and they threw every down. And then the week before against the Colts were the better team, I thought. And if Philip Rivers' throw into the end zone would have been, 6 inches closer to the shorter into the end zone, the Colts would have won the game and the Bills would be out. So I don't think the Bills are in the same league. I don't think Josh Allen's in the same league. I think he folds under pressure. They're a soft team. They don't run the football. They're not physical. They don't tackle hard. They don't blitz. They are just a soft team, a nice story, And, man, the Chiefs came out and said, we are going to punch you in the mouth. The Chiefs were on edge. I mean, they were a little bit over-emotional at the beginning, right on the edge of penalties. Chris Jones should have been kicked out of the game.
Yep.
If he would have been seen, it's not that hard a punch to the helmet, but it was a punch to the helmet, and he's gone in the first quarter. So they were on edge, but I think they just went out and said, we're going to intimidate Buffalo. Buffalo's not ready to step up to this level, and it was a great strategy. The defense deserves a ton of credit. We don't talk about them enough. We talk about how you attack them. If you're going to beat the Chiefs, and you listen to Danny and me talk for any time during the last 3 years, but even under Spagnuolo, you better have a running game component, and the Bills don't. So they became a team that really had to play the Chiefs at their best, and the Chiefs were better. So now we must say that Steve Spagnuolo, calling it the way he is, Dan Sorensen filling in and never making a mistake of where he's so supposed to be, Hitchens always in the right spot, playing with physicality, and Tyrann Mathieu dominating back there. And now you got to add guys like Snead and Burchard out playing lockdown man-to-man. That defensive performance, you said it one way. I was thinking you could almost say the Chiefs are going to win just because the defense dominated. Even with a lackadaisical offensive performance, the Chiefs would have won the game. So they had this thing from start to finish. They attacked a team that wasn't ready for prime time, and the Chiefs were a much better team. That said, McCole Hardman gives a little bit of hope to Buffalo. They don't take it. By missing a PAT is kind of a big deal at that point. I mean, 9-0 is not good. They should have been 10. But Andy Reid deserves a lot of credit because he doubled down, I thought. Chiefs drive down the field. It's getting now deeper into the first quarter, and the Chiefs are down 9-0, have just that awful mistake down at the other end. Buffalo can kind of act like they scored on both possessions. It's not official because they punted, but the awful sack that Josh Allen took could be erased because of the fumble and say, hey, look, we scored 2 times. And when they got into field goal range and it was 4th and 1, I was thinking with the missed PAT by Cleveland, you got to kick a field goal, 9-3. The momentum's going to swing your way. You're going to be just fine. Chiefs are going to win this thing. But you do not want to miss a 4th down for any reason. I mean, someone drop a pass, whatever, and make Buffalo think we were almost all the way through the first quarter. We're heading 9-0. We got a good offense. Let's go. And Andy Reid said, forget field goal. We're going to just dog them and get a first down. So I thought that was a surprising, on a day where the coaches just fumbled of knowing when to go for 4th downs and things like that. Even guys who aren't leading edge analytics and 4th down and go for 2 guys are sitting there with their arms raised going, what? You're not going for 4th down? What was Buffalo doing inside the 5 not going for 4th down? And what were the Packers doing down by 8 at the 8-yard line not going? So in that situation, I was sitting there going, no, kick the field goal here. Just take your 3. You're 9-3. You're going to be just fine. Nope. Andy Reid went for it. They went and scored, and it was Katie bar the door over at that point. The Chiefs just grabbed the momentum. But it was old school, Danny. This was Chiefs were on the edge of penalty and intimidation the whole first quarter, and just said, you are not as tough as we are. You're not as ready for this. And it was old school intimidation by the Chiefs pounding the Bills.
Well, and also we got to see, when the Chiefs were challenged a little bit, if a hard play needed to be made, Patrick Mahomes made it. I mean, he made 3 or 4 unbelievable plays that maybe nobody else can make. I don't know. You could say that somebody else.
Let's go ahead and say no one else can make.
But
because he was dead to rights to be sacked on those plays.
Yeah, pump faking, and then with somebody grabbing him by the hip, he still throws a great pass to Travis Kelce. These are first down plays that were needed. Maybe they wouldn't have been needed in the end, as we said. Both teams, on offense and defense, the Chiefs had a lot of answers, but still, that extra element, that multiplier, it's what it's being called, is Patrick Mahomes, and he did some amazing things again.
Yes, aggressiveness, good offense, a championship-level team, anything can happen. But that's not what Patrick Mahomes was. These are plays where if Buffalo was going to have any hope, they needed a sack. And finally, they brought someone off the edge. Finally, they had an athlete, not an over slow big guy, someone off the edge, unblocked, right in Patrick's grill. Guaranteed he's going to just have to throw it away and take it down, which probably isn't going to hurt the Chiefs, but at least you check one of those 3.
Right.
I was talking to my son about this, and I said, all football has become is putting 3 good plays together. No one's any good on defense, but if you can put 3 in a row, they might have to punt if they're not in fourth down area, right? Sometimes you got to put 4 in a row, but just can you sequence them out? So if you get an incompletion, that's like one of the 3. And if it's on second down and you get an incompletion, you're going, wow, we have a chance. But not only does Patrick Mahomes not just have to bail out and throw the ball away, and then he should have been sacked. I mean, he should have been sacked. Instead, he pulls away and makes a big play and makes it look easy. Tyreek Hill down the field for what ends up being a 30-yard gain when it should have been a -7. And he supposedly is possibly a little slower with his foot and all this. No, it was unbelievable, the plays that he made in the pocket. No one else. You can talk about just get going. Russell Wilson. Nope. Russell cannot reload that fast. Russell can get away, and he may scramble and throw the ball away or something like that. Or if there's a guy wide open deep, he might say, hey, there's a 50-yard touchdown because Russell Wilson got out of trouble. Aaron Rodgers, no. This is unbelievable play. So Patrick Mahomes raised his game up to another level, played unbelievably, and he had the superstars, the feature guys. I mean, when you get a lean on your best players, that doesn't always happen. I keep thinking about this is magical for Chiefs fans. You can see your team win, which is really what matters. But usually when you get to the elite level, you might face a New England team with Belichick who takes your best guy away. You win the game, but they don't let Tyreek Hill do much. Or Travis Kelce's a non-factor, but they leave other things open. Rarely do you get to watch your team. It's like watching Michael Jordan or something and say, the Bulls won and he scored 40. You got everything. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes on fire in an AFC Championship game. You just got to register that in your mind and just have that run over and over again because this is so much fun for Chiefs fans.
Well, I just wanted to get one thing in the defensive strategy for the Bills. The first game, they held them to 26 points. They didn't allow the big plays, but they allowed a bunch of yards rushing. Did the Bills do something a little bit different? They still played this sort of soft zone coverage and everything, but they seemed to be paying a little bit more attention to making sure that the Chiefs weren't going to run it for 240 yards again. Did that play into the Chiefs' success, or was it just that the Chiefs were that much better this time around?
The Bills were so unique in strategy against the Chiefs that they're quoting it now as the only game that no team blitzed all year in multiple years. So it was a radical scream of a strategy of bend but not break when they played the game in Buffalo. And it was kind of a nasty weather when nasty weather wasn't part of the year yet. I mean, players probably had to adjust to it. And so, the Bills had a strategy. And my analysis was they were not going to be able to play that strategy again against the Chiefs, even if you said, hey, it held the Chiefs to within less than 30 points, and they were a millimeter away from Clyde Edwards-Helaire having a fumble in that first game that would have given the Bills the ball in Chiefs territory with a chance to win. Why wouldn't you go back and do that? Hey, don't the Chargers have a good philosophy of doing that? All those things I said, and I still stand by, they saw that strategy. You cannot use the same strategy against the Chiefs. They're going to cut you apart because they're so good that even when you move to the next strategy, sure, they'll probably cut you apart there too, but they're going to study and have answers for everything you did. That's just, step one of the preparation. It's so easy. They are going to attack you and make you pay if you do the same things. Now they're going to be ready for your adjustments. Well, the Bills basically did much the same. Sure, they blitzed once in a while. They did some zone blitzing, which means they didn't send 5. They sent 4 and dropped somebody. But they generally use the same strategy. But the Chiefs didn't bite and say, we're going to run. They're going, no. We can throw against you. For instance, here's a simple statement that you can match together. The Bills gave up more receptions to tight ends than anybody in the NFL.
Right.
Start right there. Why hand off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who hadn't played in a while, who's a rookie, when you could throw the ball to Travis Kelce? I mean, right there. I think the Chiefs went to Buffalo to show them something about bullying them. It wasn't just that the Buffalo Bills stayed back. I think the Chiefs wanted to show that they could come off the ball, hit you, run, what they had with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think they were sending a message. This time, they just said, we don't have to run. We can throw against this stuff. Your defense isn't that good. So I thought the Bills were going to get killed if they tried to play the same strategy. And generally, mostly, they did. And even though if they're all going to count on, we got one linebacker back. I mean, Milani is going to make no, he's not going to make that much difference. They give up the tight end all the time. They did again. The Chiefs took it, and then he just went from there. And so Buffalo was relying upon they would have got those 2 sacks that Patrick, or maybe 3, that Patrick Mahomes turned into positive gains.
Right.
Just think, if they would have got those and forced the Chiefs to punt 2 more times, maybe they could make a case. But I think the Bills are living in a fantasy world. I think they and the nation think they're better than they are. I didn't think Josh Allen is too big for Josh Allen to go out and win games. And, oh, by the way, not only are they wanting him to win games when I think it's too much for him, they're not giving him a running game to lean on. I mean, that is even worse. They just say, we need you to run. And classic example, go look at the stats. They look okay for Josh Allen. You know when all those stats were built up? When the game was over. That's when he made a nice 32-yard run and threw the ball downfield, threw a great pass to Dig. When the pressure was off, the guy was fine. But when the pressure's on, he's airmailing it over guys. There's just a whole nother level of concentration. Once the game was over, he became dangerous again. He's dangerous in a regular season when you're playing the Jets. He'll light them up. But when you're playing the champs, he's just not ready yet.
That's the story of the Chiefs, and of course we'll get into what the early indications for the Super Bowl matchup are, but let's talk NFC coming up next, as obviously college football's in the rearview mirror, and just one football game remains. Dan Weber, a little tear developing in his eye.
Why do you do that to me, Dan? You're so eloquent with your broadcast capabilities, and then you have to throw a haymaker at me, and we're so socially distanced, you're not even close to me, and you still punch me right in the gut. I feel it.
2 weeks to go of football, actually 2 weeks minus 1 day. We'll talk about the NFC and that kind of crazy game that was played in Green Bay yesterday, and more coming up on Danny and Stan's Football Weekend.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. The storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. It's time to visit once again with Dr. Brad Woodle of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. And Dr. Brad, your group has reached a significant milestone in receiving a prestigious award.
Danny, we've been honored for the 10th year in a row to receive the 5-Star Service Award from Integrity Doctors. And what this means is that all of our offices throughout Kansas City have made sure to give people excellent chiropractic and acupuncture care, be on time, and do a very complete and thorough job, and have great responses back from patients.
I know firsthand because I was just treated, for instance, today by you. You have a wide range of fantastic services.
Absolutely. Chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapies, rehab, anything that you need to keep you well in bones, muscles, joints, and nerves.
And I can't say how much it's benefited me in the time I've coming here. Upwards of 2 years, my back has improved 100%. And you can have that same kind of treatment too. For more information and your chance for a healthier way of life, visit asfca.com/Danny today.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. I just want to thank everybody for supporting local restaurants during this time of uncertainty. 23rd Street Brewery is now open until this pandemic is over. And right now, more than anything, local restaurants need your help and support. Come on out and see us. 23rd Street Brewery is open now from 11:30 till 9 o'clock for dine-in and carry-out. Whatever we can do to help you out, maybe with your catering needs, too. I appreciate all the support, and thank you for continuing to shop local.
Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days, as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the Pure Gold oil. And recently I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML 830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new smart laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkScale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Back with Stan talking NFC Championship game, and both teams, whichever team lost this game, was going to have a whole bunch of things to look at because there were mistakes all over the place in this game. And actually, through the first quarter of the Chiefs game, I thought the game was sort of following that pattern because we were seeing drops, we were seeing interesting coaching decisions. But this NFC game was a mess. Now, at first, Tampa and the Buccaneers and Brady really looked sharp, and I mean they were hitting big plays, and Green Bay had to really work hard to catch up, but they caught up because Tampa started making mistakes. We'll get into some of the specific things, but first of all, I thought Tampa was going to win. I picked the Tampa to win, and I was confident that they were the better team, and they certainly looked at it for a while. But then, you heard at halftime when they talked about what Bruce Arians had said after halftime. He said, attack, attack, attack. Well, they sure did, and it almost cost them the game.
Yes, the dry spells that Tampa will have, or when they play poorly, they look really bad. You have to look closely to see when Tom Brady's not on his game. Even this year as an old guy, the spark that he has on the ball, Danny, it is screaming out of his hands on those throws. When you watch the instant replay of the spirals, and it's not about that, but every once in a while when he's not loaded up with his legs and you get in there on a blitz, he just kind of falls over and flails and throws the ball up for grabs, and wow. And we've seen that. We've seen him get whipped this year when in New Orleans games. The second one's more irrelevant because the first they were the new Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road at the Saints. I don't really care about that one. But later, when they thought they were the revised, now Tom Brady version, and they got killed by the Saints, there have been moments where Tampa just looks out of sorts and can't do anything right on offense. And those events happen in the Packer game. But before that, they had established an 18-point lead by being the better team. And it was all about third downs. I mean, they will invest in the run, and they got to make great third down plays. And Tom Brady made them, and he even made more than they got full credit for on a stat sheet because there are a couple of drops that shouldn't have been drops.
Right.
He put the ball in positions when you watch football, right? I mean, you just certain looks, are going to be caught. I mean, if we want to talk about Tyreek Hill flying down the field and missing a third down throw in the first plays of the game against Buffalo, that is a super hard catch. But you see the throws that Green Bay was defending, is like he's going to pull that in. How did he miss that? How did Mike Evans miss that one? So Brady was just lethal on third down. And all this is important because as we get more preview of how they're going to play the Chiefs, they are a team that has a legitimate hope. If the Chiefs don't play great on offense and McCole Hardman drops a ball for them or something, there's a scenario where Tampa Bay could win, and it is what they did in the first quarter against Green Bay. It's run the ball, don't get away from the running game, probe, see if you can do something, and then make great throws on third down and have Tom Brady read the blitzes that you've got, go to the weapons that he has, throw the ball in a way that gives his guys a chance to play. They did those things. So they got an 18-point lead by being the better team. I thought Green Bay would find a way to win is how I predicted going in, but I totally believe they both were Super Bowl level opponents. And I do think Tampa has some missing things at Green Bay. Green Bay's so good in the red zone, even though they didn't go for fourth down. They are so good in the red zone. I think they lost the game on the 3 plays where they threw to Adams. The first, the back shoulder throw. I mean, he and Aaron normally hit that. In the end zone when he tapped his feet down and he's barely out of bounds. Again, that's where Green Bay is better than everybody else in the NFL. Even the Chiefs. When they get down near the 5, they score touchdowns, and they didn't against Tampa Bay. So you take away that excellence, and then you look at the rest of the team. Tampa was more physical, knocking Jones out of the game, forcing him to fumble a couple of times. Aaron Rodgers never looked completely comfortable, like he was dealing back there. So Green Bay still, I thought, could have won the game. They had 3 interception opportunities where Aaron Rodgers got the ball, and Tampa gave him new life. They weren't down by 18 anymore. They were within a score, and they couldn't do anything with it. That's on Aaron Rodgers. That's on Green Bay. They're just an engine that always has, one missing little piece in there. It's not hitting on all cylinders. They're dangerous. They're good, but there's just something about them that I don't rely on. I don't count on. Aaron Rodgers is so awesome in a one-game situation, but I don't ever bet on Green Bay. So I think Tampa's a harder team for the Chiefs to beat in a Super Bowl because I think they'll be mentally tough. They play with a little physicality on the defensive side, and I think they've got some veterans that this is not going to be too big for them to play in a Super Bowl. And, for instance, just start with Gronkowski. You think he's going to be intimidated by playing in a big game against the mighty defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs? I mean, it's not just Brady and Antonio Brown. If he's 100%, he's not scared of playing in big games. And Pierre-Paul, people don't talk about him much, but the mentality he brings, he's been there before. He's been at a championship level. I just think that they have a veteran presence that won't be intimidated by the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs are very intimidating, and especially when they get that edge and start shoving you around and playing a talk trash football. I think teams could go, oh my gosh, what's going on? I think Tampa's chances go up slightly to win this game. We'll talk about it more next week, Danny, but I do think Tampa's chances go up slightly because they played the Chiefs head-to-head. Coaching, film study, experience in playoffs, all that isn't as real as having played against the team you need to play with the elite things that they have. How big is Travis Kelce? How does he shake and run his routes? You can talk about it all you want, but when you're out in the field and you got that imprinted in your brain for 2 weeks, you can learn from it. When you know how fast Tyreek Hill is, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize he's that fast. When you see Patrick Mahomes look it over there and go, 45's Mike. It's so different, Danny, than what you see on TV or what you study. When you're 10 feet away from the dude and he's looking at you and he knows exactly what coverage you're in, exactly what you need to do. I just think learning about being on the field with the Chiefs is very helpful to Tampa Bay, that they've got to say, we're not going to be intimidated, we're going to be ready and try to adjust. Still, chances are very slim that they're going to be as good as the Chiefs, because the Chiefs, if they play playoff football like they did, not so much against Cleveland, they played another level of playoff football. It looked like, the last 3 quarters of the Houston Texans games last year, the last half of the Tennessee game, or last half plus Patrick Mahomes' run of the Tennessee game, or the fourth quarter against the 49ers. When they rose to that level, it was Katie bar the door. It was wipeout city. That's the way the Chiefs played against Buffalo, just like you have no chance after you got the 9-0 lead. If they do that, Tampa's going to be sitting there getting bombed. I mean, this is a game where the Chiefs could separate and win by 20-plus points if things go their way.
Let's talk about the biggest talking point, which, Green Bay made so many mistakes that to put it down to the 4th and 8 they didn't go to. A lot of analytics I've been reading say that the percentage of them winning was almost exactly the same whether they went for it or didn't go for it. Just in my logic stream, however, and the way modern football is played, going for it there gives you 2 chances, basically, to try and win or tie the game. You're going to try to do it there. You don't do it, then you rely on your defense. But what he said was, I'm relying on my defense because we've been playing well, and I'll kick the field goal. And the only advantage you gain from this, obviously, is the fact that you don't have to make the 2-point conversion to grab the lead. But to me, first of all, bad communication, because apparently on 3rd down, Aaron Rodgers didn't know that they weren't going to go on 4th down.
This is the Aaron Rodgers problem.
He even said it. He said
he got to make the call.
Right.
He called the play.
Right. But
and he said, I wouldn't have called the play if I'd have known we weren't going to go for 4th. That is the disconnect, the babying of Aaron Rodgers that causes Green Bay to not be as good as they should be.
But also if he knows for sure, hey, this is 4-down territory, we're going. He could have run for at least.
He should have ran
at least 5 yards. At least 5 yards.
At least, and then probably all the way to the end zone.
Yeah, maybe.
And if he, they're just they're out of sorts because he has to have things go well, and then they have to walk on eggshells around him. Like, what are you saying? So in the ear, they go, hey, you call this play. Do what you want on third down. We trust you. Well, that's fine. But he can't say, if I didn't realize that we weren't going to go for fourth down. Well, no, what happens on that play matters to what. If you run, they would have gone for fourth down.
Right. I think if it was
fourth and
maybe
five,
even 5.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he would have fell to the 3. I mean, look, he had an angle to go at least to the 3-yard line.
I agree.
So they go for fourth down. And
Yes.
that's elite on elite because it's hard to make 3 yards in the NFL on fourth down. It's a 50% probability, 45 to 50%, but the Packers are really good at it. There's a lot of pressure. You have to make it, and you have to do it again. So you take 50 times 50. If they would have scored from the 3 and then gone a 2-point conversion, they had a 25% chance of making that happen. 50% times 50% is 25. That's how we would do that. And so I said they should have gone for it because you're 8 points down and Tom Brady's on the other side, and you got a championship level. But I do think there's plenty of room for talking it through and not just burying the coach on
totally
this
agree.
because it is so hard to score from the 8, Danny.
Yeah.
The odds of scoring on 1 down from the 8 are very low. So here's what he did. Let's just give him a benefit of the doubt for a second. If he doesn't make it from the 8, you still got to stop him, go score a touchdown, and get a 2-point conversion. So really, why not go for it and possibly do that? Well, you're not sure you're going to make the 2. If you get a touchdown, you don't make the 2, you got to stop him again. If you don't make it, you got to stop him and score and get a 2-point conversion. What he basically said is, I don't like my odds of doing those 2 things, so I'm going to say if we stop them one time, which we're going to have to do probably anyway, I want to win the game. He advanced his chances by kicking the field goal. Now they don't have to make a touchdown and 2-point conversion. So he picked the odds that put the ball on Brady's hands. Well, modern football today, Danny, that's not what we want to bet on, right? None of us look at because guess what? How did the drive stay alive? A holding call on the defense, and that's. The games were great. You know why the championship games are great, Danny? You know why it's a great day of football? There's a lot of reasons. But one is because the officials stuffed their flags deep down in their pockets and don't throw them out. We don't see that stupid penalty football, right?
Right.
The dumb penalties that keep drives alive, and sure enough, they got one. The ball was overthrown. You know, Brady missed him, and the officials, he was holding. He grabbed his undershirt, not his jersey. It's not his jersey, it's his undershirt. He grabbed it. And so he cost him a half step. All those things deserve a penalty, but it was overthrown. And if it would have been 1975, the officials would have gone, I would have thrown the flag except for you didn't execute the play well enough. We're not going to bail you out. But at the end of the day, I thought he should have went for it. I was 100% on it. Go for it. Even though the odds are poor that you're going to get in, you have Aaron Rodgers, and he can defy the odds. And you got a tight end. The tight end that they throw to makes catches in the red zone. Adams makes catches in the red zone. So I was just flabbergasted that they said, let's kick the field goal. I think he should get criticized and a mistake and all that because they never touched the ball again. We've seen that happen too often. We saw it happen to the Cleveland Browns when Chad Henne was the Chiefs quarterback last week,
right?
With more time on the clock. So, but you the bumbling stuff going on was absolutely there. For instance, Tampa gets a kickoff. And the guy slides down when all he needed to do is make sure he got to the 2-minute warning. They should have kicked the ball out of the – first of all, Green Bay made a bad mistake. Kick it out of the end zone, and then you have the 2-minute warning as your 4th timeout.
Right.
It gives you a slight chance, okay? So Green Bay's so stupid to kick it. Well, Tampa says, we'll be more stupid. We'll slide down with 2:02 on the clock rather than running 5 more yards. Just so dumb. And then when Green Bay jumped off sides, brilliant.
Yeah.
On 2nd and 1, jump off sides, Tampa should have said, nope, we don't want the penalty. We want 2nd and 1 because we want 1 more play or 2 to get that first down. Tom Brady's the best quarterback sneaker in the history of mankind.
Right.
So, the clock management, these two teams were all over the board. But I just think, I think everyone wants to say Green Bay lost it. I think Tampa won it. And I think when they gained that 18-point lead, they showed.
Yeah, they played excellent football to build that lead.
Exactly. And Brady's interceptions are unacceptable, but more unacceptable were the drops. That they would have been up by plenty if his guys wouldn't have dropped the ball.
Yeah, I turned to my wife before one of the interceptions happened, and I said, they should have this game won by now. I mean, this game should be over. I mean, they've dropped 4 or 5 big, and even the interceptions, they, at least one of them was like a punt, and the one to Evans, when he just heaved it, I thought Evans was going to catch it.
Yeah,
first.
You stopped the tape. You would have said, "What? I bet Evans is going to come down with it."
Right, but it turned out he didn't see the ball, and it was actually much shorter than I thought it was. But I understood he had one-on-one. He had him beat. I mean, so he's just like, "Woo! I'll throw it, and maybe he'll catch it." So
Mike Evans doesn't think at next level. That's the problem. Because Brady, the New England Patriots, Brady would have said, "I'm going to heave the ball up for grabs." But when you see the blitz, like when you take off your route and you read inside blitz, you got to know that it's going to be a punt. I mean, you got to say he's not going to throw it to me. You see what I'm saying?
He's not going to have
Tom Brady knows he didn't throw it on strike. Tom Brady knew he's off balance. He knew he threw it up for grabs, but he thought Mike Evans would also see the blitz, know he's got a 43-year-old quarterback, and go, "Oh, Tom's going to heave it up for me one-on-one, and I'm probably going to be stopped in a jump ball." But Evans acted like he was the most surprised guy in the world, running downfield, going, "Well, why didn't you drop this down on my outside shoulder?"
Right.
That's right, Tom. Tom didn't yell at him, but Tom was talking to him on the sideline.
Right.
Tom's trying to baby these guys. I mean, Gronk gets it. He understands game situations. He understands odds. And I think that should not have been an interception. That should have been a knockdown ball or a completion. I agree with you. But I think Mike Evans just doesn't quite get the calculus level that Brady understands.
Right. Absolutely. All right, let's talk a little bit about the matchup. As you said, we can really break it down next week because that's all we'll have to do, as a matter of fact.
Oh, there you are, rubbing it in. You got to see this, Danny. I'm in face-to-face with him. We're not millions of miles away on some fancy equipment. We're
12 feet apart.
12 feet at least. I mean, we are social But Danny puts up a number 1. Like, there's only one game now. Even if he doesn't say it, he visually shows me the one. Like, yeah, next week we don't have anything to talk about because there's only one game left.
It's with the index finger, but just your
obviously.
Your early sense. It sounds like you feel like this really is kind of the Chiefs' game to lose.
Absolutely, Chiefs are better. Let's just start with AFC's better than the NFC. So the best team that shows up from the NFC will not be to the level of what they had to go through the rigor of the regular season, the playoffs, etc. If they play at a playoff level, I'm going to call it, like I've already identified what those moments are like, basically almost the whole game that you saw against Buffalo, then Tampa has no answer. They can't go to that level. For instance, they have trouble playing the deep route all year. They're safeties, and now they had one safety injured who might be back,
right,
and they have another safety who got injured, and it didn't look good. When they're holding your shoulder, that's not like the easiest thing to come back from.
Right.
So they may be without their 2 safeties, and they already are struggling. They struggle with the ball being thrown over the top. That's a weakness.
We saw that against the Chiefs.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill lit them up. So they got to adjust, right? They can't do the same thing. Maybe they'll back up a little bit and rely on the pass rush.
Isn't that their biggest chance in this game? I mean, their pass rush was ferocious against a good offensive line.
I love their front.
And the Chiefs are going to have a patchwork, as they pretty much always seem to do, offensive line. Fisher looks like he's done. I mean, when they're patting a guy in the head and saying, good job.
Well, it sounds like he's got an Achilles and out.
Right.
Yeah, you could. Hey, I can make a case for Tampa winning this. I think they're the most dangerous team to beat them because I didn't think Cleveland was ready for prime time. The coaching decisions and stuff that haunted them last week. Buffalo's not ready for prime time. You're playing teams, but this was not John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens they just beat. And you go, wait a second. That Buffalo's No. I'm talking about a mental toughness you got to have to compete with the Chiefs. Only the Ravens and Steelers know what that means, in my opinion. Okay, not these other teams that are okay. And I've said, I think on Sports Radio 810 on the Border Patrol on Friday, Danny, I said, to me, there's the Chiefs, and if the Chiefs play like they did in the regular season, especially the latter half, there's not that much difference between them and the next team. And the next team is the 2 through 7 seeds are all the same. I think the Colts are every bit as good as the Bills, and pick any combination you want of those teams, Danny. Any of the other 6 teams I thought would be legitimate competition 2 weeks in a row. Whoever the Chiefs had to beat was legitimate competition. But the ones that are mentally tough enough to fight the Chiefs are a unique category. And I think Green Bay would have had it with Aaron Rodgers, okay? 13-3, 2 years. I could make a case that would be competitive. But the hardest team to beat is going to be Tampa Bay because they will be hardened, and they have a path to victory. They play defense. No one in the league cares about defense. Maybe the Rams a little, but I'm telling you, they can rush the passer. Their linebackers go run and hit people. They aren't going to let let Travis Kelce have a free run and an easy time of it. And so and then Brady's just magical. He's tough. He's going to know what blitzes are coming, and he's going to know how there's a chance to come back and win. When they were behind by Atlanta by 1 million, they weren't likely to win, but what's brilliant about the greatest athletes and coaches in the world is they go, here's our only chance. They show you a path. They say, here, if we can slip through here, this is how we can win. Because he'll stay focused on the prize of winning the game, they won't go away. And if he needs to lean on Gronk more, he will. They didn't throw the ball to Gronk in the Green Bay game at all until late, but against the Chiefs, they may throw 10 times to him because he may be the only one that has the guts to fight the Chiefs. That's what they're going to do. So Tampa could make a case, but it's all about the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the better team. I'll say this. Here's what the Chiefs remind. First of all, the Chiefs' defense has risen to another level. And the way the defenders played man-to-man defense
that was unbelievable.
Was elite. And that doesn't even include Tyrann Mathieu doing all his magic and being all over the place. And I think Hitchens is picking up his game, and he's wanting to be physical. Chris Jones can blow up the middle all the time. And the Chiefs just have, how about this, Danny, almost no weakness on their defense. Everybody's playing engaged, and they got a super aggressive defensive coordinator who's calling the game well. And they're well-trained because when you run a blitz and then they throw a screen on you, the offense should make you pay. I mean, touchdown pay, right? And the Chiefs, how have they been to have a guy right there to knock the play down before it starts? May have saved the Cleveland game. So the Chiefs are doing everything right on defense. They are an elite football team right now. But here's what they remind me of, Danny. In 1988, San Francisco 49ers with Joe Montana, who won the Super Bowl back in 84. I mean, this is an elite program, right? They have all the toughness and everything else. But in 88, they were reloading, reestablishing themselves, and they barely beat the Cincinnati Bengals. It was the drive where Joe Montana went out and said, oh, there's John Candy in the stands. Yes. And Jerry Rice had an unbelievable drive, but they threw the ball to Taylor. You remember?
Right. Yep.
They barely beat a good Cincinnati Bengal team. Congratulations. They're the tougher-minded team. Joe Montana's magical. They win a Super Bowl. That reminds me of the Chiefs last year. But in 1989, that was the real better version of the 49ers. They ripped through a 15-1 season and killed John Elway and the Denver Broncos in the Superdome. John Elway is a guy who had to put the whole team on his shoulders. The AFC was getting beat by the NFC every year in the 80s. And here comes the big, bad 49ers. My point is the better version of the 49ers are 89. John Elway looked like he had the whole world on his shoulders. Maybe he could fight, and it was a blowout by midway through the first quarter. Tom Brady's the guy who has it all on his shoulders. Say, maybe Tom can do it. But the Chiefs are a much better version than they were last year. Does that make sense? They are so much better. 14-1 really is a fair record for them, a lot like the Niners' 15-1 team. So I think you're running into a machine. But we got to step back and say, wait a second, Tom Brady. You took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the Super Bowl. You kind of had to fight Arians to even get what you needed. And, oh, by the way, when you said he's been to his 10th Super Bowl, that's in 21 seasons, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That is unthinkable. I mean, a referee would be lucky to be in. If you were the best official in the league, you don't get invited to 10 of 21 Super Bowls. Yeah, this is the most amazing competitive sport in the world. Teams matter. Everybody wants to be good at it. Everybody wants to win. And he's in the Super Bowl 10 out of 21 times.
Well, there was another stat that was out there that he ranks third all-time in playoff wins against NFC teams. He has played one season in the NFC. He's beat 6 of them in the Super Bowl and 3 of them this year, and he's third all-time. Only one person has more, 10. I think it's 10, 9, 9, whatever. And he's ahead of all these other people who spend their whole career in the NFC. And he's got 9 playoff wins against NFC teams. Is that unbelievable? I mean, there's so many unbelievable stats for him.
It is. And he's, okay, first of all, he's 43. But just to take on what he has taught Kevin Kiesman asked me right away the question. I don't know if you got asked this question by many people, but okay, what do you think? Is it going to be Belichick this year and the Patriots, or is it going to be the Bucs and Brady that are going to be better? And I quickly said Tom Brady. It was not so much about a cut down to Belichick or Brady over Belichick. It was Tampa Bay was 7-9 with 1 million interceptions last year. They had some weapons, guys like Evans and so forth. But then they got Gronk as well. But still, I bet on their talent level was enough, and I thought Tom Brady could teach him how to win. But he's not the coach, Danny. He's the quarterback, and he's old. The fact that he's done this and made them as tough as they are and as dangerous as they are, when they had a rocky road, and then they go on the road and win 3 games too. I mean, I know it's not the road of the stadium's packed.
Still, there was a lively atmosphere at Lambeau yesterday.
It's still the guy is off the charts good, and I'm going to be the first one to say this, Danny, just for the record. Okay, we're going to play this back, not because I'm predicting it, but as great as Patrick Mahomes has been, off the chart great, right? The best quarterback, and in the last 3 years since he's been the starter, it's hard to find any negative stats about him. What is he, 25-1 in his last 26 starts? I mean, this is crazy stuff. He is now setting a tone that we've never seen before, even with Tom Brady. But if Brady somehow pulled off an upset, Brady will have won more Super Bowls in those great 3 years of Mahomes than Mahomes did.
Right.
This old man, I mean, that's what's at stake for him, to say Mahomes is playing at the highest level we've ever seen for a 3-year period at the quarterback position, because Dan Marino did it.
Right.
His second year, I thought Patrick Mahomes' second year was kind of Marino-like, and he didn't win the Super Bowl. He lost to the Patriots. But since then, Mahomes has just taken it to a whole nother level. I was thinking last night, if Brady wins, he'll have won 2 out of the 3 Super Bowls, and Patrick only one of them.
Right.
That's what's at stake.
Yeah.
And obviously he can talk about the greatest ever and elite and all that. He deserves all of that for what he did with Tampa Bay. But, man, it's great. It's great. It's going to be fun.
Great theater,
prep.
For sure.
Oh, it's great theater. And I don't really think it matters that the game's in Tampa. There's no Super Bowl hype. It's all out of whack. But the Chiefs are going to travel the day before the game, I heard.
Yes.
It's just going to be a road game to them, which they win every road game. And Tampa's going to be at home for a home game. So I guess they'll like sleeping in their own beds and give them a little better chance. If you're a neutral fan, if you're not a Chiefs fan, you're rooting for any way possible to keep it close by Tampa.
Yeah.
Because won't it be fun if it doesn't matter who has the ball. Can you imagine if one team's down by 6 or 5 and has the football? Doesn't matter if it's Brady or Mahomes. How much fun would it be able to see the last 5 minutes of the Super Bowl in that situation?
We'll have a week to get thoughts together and go into more X's and O's as far as this game is concerned coming up, as we'll do it next Monday. The Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lining up for the Super Bowl. It should be, as we said, great theater.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com, specializing in expert healthcare guidance and assistance for you.